Hello, BookTube. Today is January 31st, and that means it's time for my January book haul. I normally like to do my book hauls at the end of the month, once I've collected all of the books I've been buying in that month. So my January book haul is a rather weird one. It's massive. 28 books. 8 works of history, 20 volumes of manga. So initially, when I was thinking about what the books I wanted to pick up in December, or for January, I had a strong desire for fiction and poetry, literary fiction, science fiction, fantasy. I had a large pre-order list of upcoming fantasy that I wanted, and a few more literary works. And then every novel I try to read in December, I bailed on. So, in an overreaction, as I wanted to do, I pretty much purged all of the fiction pre-orders or canceled them, and pre-ordered a bunch of upcoming history texts. And then, as luck would have it, early January hit, and I had my whatever it was, my mental crisis, whatever it was I had early in January, that contributed to me bailing on half of my name tag TBR and pretty much annihilated my no fiction 2022 idea plan, which I was also thinking, okay, read no fiction, buy no fiction, just all nonfiction. And I ended up going, okay, well, this isn't working either, and again, overreaction, I canceled all of those pre-orders and bought a bunch of manga with my Christmas money and other money too. And I was planning on using my Christmas money to clear out a number of history books that have accumulated in my Amazon card, which I've saved in the Save Later section. Originally, I was also going to buy a bunch of science fiction, fantasy, and literary fiction with that, but again, the bailing, the mental crisis. So yeah, so let's get going. I'll start with the 8 works of history, and then I will get to the manga at the end. So first of all, I have 2 books from LSU, who is an State University Press. Early last year, after watching numerous haul videos from the history shelf, I wanted to check out university presses, and particularly their sales. And while I've shopped a lot with Princeton University and the University of Chicago, I've also been wanting to shop with LSU. LSU has at least twice that I know of a month-long site-wide sale for 40% off. They had one early in the year, and then they had one at the end of the year. I just finally decided, okay, I'm going to buy something from them. I initially wanted to buy some poetry collections and some short story collections. To be honest, I'm a bit more interested in the poetry and fiction, what little of it there is that LSU puts out, than I am some of the history. The history tends to be more regional, more Civil War, and I'm not as interested in that. I'm more ancient history, more European history, Asian history, which LSU doesn't really have much in the way of, or at least that they publish. So anyway, so I was originally going to pick up some poetry and some short story collections, and then of course the Bellapalooza happened in December, so I decided, in my decision to do No Fiction 2022, so I decided, okay, I'll just go ahead and buy some works of history that have struck my fancy, that I'm quite interested in. I mean, for the most part, there are some that I am quite interested in that LSU publishes, but anyway. So the first one is Voodoo and Power, The Politics of Religion in New Orleans, 1881 to 1940 by Kodi A. Roberts. This is a work of New Orleanian history that looks at how religion sort of plays a role in African American politics in the city. I'm quite looking forward to it. I read the introduction before I bought it and quite liked it. And another work of New Orleanian history. This is Southern Decadence in New Orleans by Howard Phillips Smith and Frank Perez. This is a history of Southern Decadence, which is a gay-themed cultural event in New Orleans. I think it's a parade and sort of a kind of Mardi Gras type thing. So anyway, I picked those up, and then I also ordered 4 books from Labyrinth Books. They're a used bookstore that has some relationship to or with Princeton University. And I picked up 4 from them. I got a cell catalog that I loved. There were so many books I wanted, but I whittled it down to 4. First up is The Heartland in American History by Kristin L. Hoganson. This is a history of the American Midwest, and I saw it reviewed by Steve Donahue, I think early in the history of Open Letters Review. And I quite liked the sound of the book, so I wanted it and eventually picked it up. Next is The Shadow Emperor, a biography of Napoleon III by Alan Strauss-Schom. This is obviously a biography of Napoleon III, who was president and later emperor of France in the from 1848 to 1871, when he was defeated in the Franco-Prussian War and deposed. I also have picked up Empire of Guns, The Violent Making of the Industrial Revolution by Priya Satia. This is a book that I've wanted for a long while. I'm quite happy to have it. And finally, Unfabling the East, The Enlightenment's Encounter with Asia by Jurgen Osterhammel. Again, this is a book that I've wanted for quite a while and quite happy to have. Put them up. The next 2 works of history I picked up were pre-orders, and they are also biographies of Queen's Regnant, or in one case an Arcticus Regnant. But anyway, so first up is Maria Theresa, The Habsburg Empress in Her Time by Barbara Stollberg-Rilinger. I pre-ordered this from Princeton University Press in August. Princeton University Press had a site-wide sale on for 40%, and I could use the sale for pre-order, so I went ahead and pre-ordered this book. I ordered a few other books later that I hauled a few months ago in September. But anyway, so pre-ordered this, and it shipped, I think, December 23rd. And the book got to, was transferred from UPS Mail Innovations, who Ingram, who Princeton uses to ship their books, was transferred from UPS Mail Innovations to the local post office, to the postal service. And then on, I think, just January 1st, I was checking the status, and it said the book was delayed. And I'm like, okay. And it was delayed, so it was come January 10th, and I still hadn't gotten the book. I'm like, okay, this is concerning. So I sent off an email to Ingram to see if there was some kind of delay, because the book didn't come out until January 25th. It's basically like it came out like last week. So maybe there was like a hold on it to sort of prevent it from coming too early. And that day, I got the book. It was dropped off, and there was no delivered, it's like there was no updates. And then about a week later, I got an email from, or maybe 2 weeks later, I got an email from, no, it would have been a week later, I got an email from them saying, we're sorry, we think it got lost, so if you want to a refund or send it back out, you let us know. And I'm like, oh. So I emailed them back saying I got the book the day I sent the email. So anyway, yeah, so I'm thinking what ended up happening was the USPS Dallas, the regional facility in Dallas, probably either had a backlog or ended up losing it or something for a few days, and then they kind of found it and sent it along its way. Anyway, but that was one of the contributing factors, I think, to my mental issues earlier this month, as often when packages tend to take a little bit of a detour to get to me. Anyway, and the other pre-order I had is The Queen by Matthew Dennison. This is the UK trade paperback. I debated with myself whether I wanted to pick this up or the hardcover, and I decided on the paperback because my mom thought the paperback's cover was nicer than the hardcovers, and this is also significantly cheaper. So pick that up. And let's do a quick Steve Pyramid of the history books I picked up, and then we'll move on to the manga. Okay, so the manga. So like I said, I went through fiction and then history, and ended up canceling all of my pre-orders and trashing my book buying plans, and decided to buy a whole bunch of manga with my Christmas money and money that I just decided to spend money on manga. And I'll talk about them when I get to the specific books. First of all, I have Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle Volume 16 by Clamp. Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle is the story of, it's Clamp's crossover series. It basically takes variations of various Clamp characters from other works and uses them in new contexts. So in Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle, Jurgen is a young archaeologist in love with Princess Sakura when a artifact they've discovered activates, and Sakura is grievously wounded. Her memories are shattered and spread across various realities, and Jurgen is tasked to go and collect them, and he is joined by Kurogane, a samurai, and Faidi Flowerite, a sorcerer. And they travel across various realities to collect Sakura's memory feathers, or soul feathers. Anyway, I Read some earlier volumes of it. I think I maybe have read about not quite half of it, and really enjoyed the series, and ended up not completing the series. So I've been collecting Tsubasa for a few months now, and picked up volume 16. I originally ordered this volume last month when I picked up, I'm forgetting which volumes, Tsubasa to get up to volume 15. I'd also ordered volume 16, and Half Price Books accidentally sent volume 4, so they were kind enough to go ahead and send me volume 16, which is quite healthy. I'm quite happy about that. And you'll be seeing Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle in February's book haul too. Just to let you know. So the next two books I picked up from Book People in the aftermath of my breakdown earlier this month. I picked up Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 2 by Aidalro, and Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 3 by Aidalro. And I am quite happy that Book People had these two volumes. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun is increasingly difficult to find, particularly the earlier volumes. I'm pretty sure Yin Press is kind of like they're reprinting them as they can, but it is kind of annoying. I mean, volume 4 right now is like almost $100, and it's insane. And I'll rant a bit more about that when I get to another book. So yeah, I was feeling down, and I decided I wanted to buy some manga. So I was surfing on Book People's website and just idly typed in Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, and these two are available. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy them. So I did. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun is about a young girl, Nene, who decides to ask a wish of the seventh mystery of her incredibly haunted middle school, the Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. And she discovers that while in the traditional story, Hanako-kun or Hanako-san is a woman, it's a female ghost. In this case, it's a young boy or a young man. And they end up going on adventures throughout the school and confronting the various mysteries and hauntings and what have you. And I read volume 1 a few months ago and really enjoyed it, and quite happy to have volumes 2 and 3 in my collection as well. And I'm planning on reading the whole series again, or what I have of the series, either today or Friday, depending how my plans work out. I also picked up from Amazon, and this is the most recent of the manga I picked up, but I ordered something else and I decided I just want to buy some more manga, so I did. I picked up Magi Volume 13 by Shinobu Ohtaka. Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, is about a young wizard or magi named Aladdin who travels across the world looking for friendship and has a number of adventures. Much like with Volume 4 of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic there are certain volumes of this series that are incredibly difficult to find as well. I have 7 volumes of the series, but Volume 8 is incredibly difficult to find without having to pay like $100, if not closer to $400. It's insane. So maybe if I buy more like new copies of it, or from like Amazon or Book People or Pals or something like that, maybe Viz will see fit to reprint the series so it'd be a bit easier to get volumes 8, 9, 10, and 11, and I think 12 too. Anyway, I also picked up Eden Zero Volume 2 by Hiro Mashima. Eden Zero is the, not sequel series, it's Hiro Mashima's new series. It's independent of his most recent work, or his previous work, Fairy Tale, although that does have a sequel series. It's a space opera about a young man named Shiki who's lived all of his life on a planet of robots. He, one day, a young woman named Rebecca and her blue cat Happy arrive on the planet to film a video, and they meet, the robots turn on them, and they escape the planet. And Shiki joins Rebecca on her adventures. I read Volume 1 a few months ago and quite liked it, and I want to continue on with the series, so I picked up Volume 2, and I'll probably read those 2 volumes today. It's my plan, since I finished the Swimming Pool Library yesterday. So the next 2 books are I picked up from Powell's towards the end of the month when I saw that they were available. They are Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 3 and Volume 4. I have the first 2 volumes and Volume 5, and then a bunch of other volumes. Fullmetal Alchemist is the story of the Ulrich brothers, 2 young men who, in an attempt to bring their deceased mother back to life, enacted a forbidden alchemical act, and they were grievously wounded as a punishment for that. Edward lost his leg, and Alphonse lost his body. To preserve Alphonse's soul, Edward sacrificed his arm, or an arm, to pretty much bind Alphonse's soul to a suit of armor. The brothers, Edward then joins the military as a state alchemist so that he can travel around the country of Amestris to find the Philosopher's Stone, alchemical artifact believed to be able to bypass the laws of equivalent exchange, so that Edward and Alphonse could be able to restore themselves. Edward could get his limbs back, and Alphonse can get his body back. As the brothers travel around the country, they become aware of an old conspiracy at the very highest levels of the Amestrian government. Fullmetal Alchemist is one of my favorite series, and I've been trying to collect the series as I go. I haven't made as much progress with Fullmetal as I have with Tsubasa or Fairy Tale, which we'll get to here in a second. But I'm making an effort to collect all of them here in the next few months as well. I've got about, I think, 18 volumes to go. I think I've got 10, so I've got about 18 to go. So this is part of my manga haul. And now we get to me going completely bonkers. So, I bought Fairy Tale Volume 5. Fairy Tale is the story of basically the adventures of the Fairy Tale Guild, a magical guild in the Kingdom of Fiori. Primarily, the series focuses on the adventures of Team Natsu, this young man here, who is a fire dragon wizard, or fire dragon slayer wizard. He basically can do various magical effects with fire. He can eat fire. He can, yeah. Anyway, he is joined in his adventures by Lucy Hartfilia, a young wizard who can summon celestial spirits using keys. And anyway, so yeah, So Fairy Tail is one of my favorite mangas, manga series. So I've been wanting to collect it for a while, and so I picked up Volume 5 from Amazon. And I picked up Volume 6 from Pals. And Volume 7 from Pals. Basically during my mental issues. I also picked up Volume 8 from Amazon. Volume 9 from Amazon. Volume 10 from Amazon. Oh, and this is pretty much the whole of Team Natsu. Natsu's in the center. Lucy's right here. And then there's Gray Fullbuster, who's an Ice Make Wizard. And then there's Erza Scarlet, who uses Requip. And then Happy's the Blue Cat. So next volume was Volume 10. Volume 11. Volume 12. Volume 13. Volume 14. Volume 15. Volume 16. And Volume 17. So, yep. So I went Fairy Tail crazy this month. I'm quite happy. And I'm pretty much, I think, so my plans for February. I've already ordered a few books. 3 volumes of Tsubasa, and I'm going to make a concerted effort to finish Tsubasa off. I'll have about 9 volumes of Tsubasa to go once the 3 volumes I've ordered come in. I also want to continue picking up Fairy Tail, Fullmetal, Alchemist, Magi, and maybe a few other series. I also want to sort of be a bit more diverse in what I pick up. I mean, the last few months I pretty much only bought history, and I kind of want to continue buying history, but also other nonfiction. I'm thinking about picking up some of the Animal series from Reaction, also some literary fiction, some science fiction and fantasy. There's a lot of that I really want to pick up. So we'll see how February and the rest of the month go and what books I pick up. But anyway, BookTube, that was my January book haul. I'll see you tomorrow with part 11 of my 2022 library tour. Sorry about fudging part 10. I don't know why I thought it was part 9, but it was part 10. And then, of course, I will do weekly reads on Friday. So, anyway, BookTube, thank you. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.